time zone, wherever you might be watching me here in Cowave TV. I remain Chigas and Debo, the host anchor, bringing your way on by yourself a charge of events, keeping it real has been our commitment. And to this end, we come your way again this morning, being the 29th day of July. Of course, we have so many issues of importance and interest to discuss based on the current realities, and we have to give you updates regarding uh, whatever might be trending in the course of the week. I welcome you once again to this exciting moment. This promises to be one of those interesting and intriguing moments, loaded with excitement and informative um, news or broadcasts here. Once again, I, Chigozindibo, welcome you to this exciting moment. You can see we're in a different location. Great news for Biafrans all over the world and those who believe in the cause of freedom for the emancipation of the people of Biafra. Information reaching us from a very reliable source is that the Republic of Biafra has been approved. Yes, we're going to discuss this and relate it with the biblical terms and prophecies that came to fulfillment, and of course, the activities of the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile towards the actualization of the Biafran sovereignty, and of course, the independent state of Biafra as the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile gears towards the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra. You are once again welcome as you join us. Kindly hit the like buttons as part of the rule of engagement. Share this video, let it go viral, let others get to join us, and of course, so that we can be part of this excitement together, and of course, share uh, informations and opinions regarding this development. Kindly share the video while we wait others to join us this very important moment here in Corewave TV. Trust you're getting on well. Of course, you all know that today is 29th day of July. Guess what? Some NANS, or National Association of Nigerian Students, claim they will be hitting the streets today. Some argue that they have withdrawn from this proposed scheduled protest, but then some are saying that these are mere distractions. They are prepared to hit the street. And of course, today happens to be the beginning of the sit at home, 4 days sit at home, slated on the 29th, 30th, and 31st to 2nd of August 2024, according to the directive given by the Prime Minister of the Biafra Republic government in exile, as a word of expressing dissatisfaction over the deprivation or perhaps denial or abuse of the leader of the indigenous peoples of Biafra's right to fair sharing to freedom, and of course, intimidation on the part of the DSS. So I welcome you to this exciting moment. The breaking news is that the Biafran Republic Declaration has been approved, and we also have to discuss about, the supposed protest, nationwide protest or mass protest looming. It has been reported that it has already been commenced, especially those in the northern part of Nigeria have started the protest in earnest, Maiduguri precisely, and some other parts of the north are gearing up to join them. As of yesterday, they have hit the street calling the president all sorts of names and chanting uh, some disapproval songs against this administration. Well, how far that can go and what could be the aftermath of this protest is yet unknown, but still in the realm of speculations. People are apprehensive and are not exactly uh, aware of what might happen in the course of the time, but according to the federal government of Nigeria, that this could lead to a possible anarchy, a breakdown of law and order. Well, it is not unexpected because of the activities or guided or reckless activities or approach on the part of the security operatives that could engineer such a breakdown of law and order when they want to use coerce or force to intimidate the masses who are already angered by the current realities. Of course, there must be a swift and a strong resistance on the part of the people. Should the military or security operative deploy the use of ammunitions, weaponry, or force against the masses who are already angered by the state of economic wars, the privations and the misgovernance on the part of the uh, supposed leaders or political elites, of course, will hit very hard. So the masses or and the security operatives are cautioned to play by the rule, but unfortunately that cannot happen. Does Nigeria respect the rules? Now, back to where we are. You see, all these happenings, especially in most recent time, reveals that an end is coming towards a system you call Nigeria. Even to the point that Nigerians at this present moment have given up the Nigerians' loyalty or nationality or national patriotism is no longer on the front burner of an average Nigerian because of the level of deprivation, suppression, denial, of course, of their rights and the basic necessities or dividends of democracy. The basic necessities of life has been made almost impossible for Nigerians to access or to live a relatively good life, moderate life, let alone talking of being uh, uh, flamboyant. Nigerians are not talking about how to build houses, how to build skyscrapers, mansions. They are just talking about the survival. How do we survive in the midst of these economic wars, in the midst of this states of wilderness, this wilderness journey? Nobody knows where to navigate or how to get out of this wood. The people within the corridor of power seems to have lost total control or perhaps run out of idea on what to do and how to do it or go about it, redeeming the time because the time is dangerous. We are in a precarious times. We are in a very serious time that poses great threat to humanity. But unfortunately, whether the executive, the legislatures, and the judiciaries has failed the masses of this country, and by that, giving a vote of no confidence, ending a vote of no confidence by the people. People do no longer believe in the judiciary, the legislatures, and in the executive as well. If anything eventually happens, the target will be the executive, the legislatures, and the judiciary will not be left out, of course, in the web of the angry mobs or the angry masses. They are the targets and should be blamed for whatever woe that had befallen the masses And as such, the masses are very much angry. If they doubt me, well, that will be to their own peril. But the realities are that the masses felt disappointed, betrayed, and of course, seriously wounded by the uh, recent happenings. They have been tolerant and very understandable and have been mistaken to be weak by their tolerance and ability to absorb whatever happens or is being thrown to them. But suddenly they realize that it seems that these people are taking them just for a ride, or perhaps mistaking their silence to be weakness. And of course, they have vowed to hit the streets of Nigeria. Eventually, we may ask, for what reason? Is it justifiable? Well, this was just decades of negligence, disappointment, and resentment built up over the decades. Just as Fela will always say, well, Nigerians are used to suffering and smiling, but that seems not to be the case today. As you join us this moment, kindly hit the like buttons, hit the like button, share this video, let it go viral. Share the video, share the video. Hit this subscription button if you have not done so, and turn on the notification button so that you can get our videos once it's been uploaded or whenever we are live and direct. Just as we are at this moment, of course, from this location, you can understand that we're in a different location. So what I'm saying in a very nutshell is that the Nigerian masses are angry. I embarked on a very little journey. You see, the roads are no longer pliable. I mean, you begin to ask, is it a country? Is it a country that should be desired? Common roads are not fixed. Common roads are not fixed. And you see them building coastal regions, coastal roads, highways. You begin to ask, is this government really, is it for real? The Nigerian masses have been trapped 6 hours, 4 hours, stranded, stuck in traffic for unjustifiable reasons, only for the very reason that the roads are too bad, they are no longer pliable. Some areas that needed to be maintained have been ignored for God knows when, and this constitutes more pain and agony suffering on the Nigerians. Then what does an average Nigerian stands to gain? You see, these are reasons some people say that the protest might be sponsored by some persons who want to truncate this administration. It is not just about this administration, but decades of years of misgovernance, misrepresentation, and abuse of power or privileges by these political elites have built up this resentment over times, and people can no longer take this nonsense, whether you call it nonsense or whatever you choose to define, of course, what that could mean. It doesn't matter, but the reality is that people are fed up. They are not animals and can't take all this nonsense again. Of course, this informed the reason why the Biafran Republic government in exile and the movement for the actualization of the Biafran state has maintained their composure. However, of course, the pressure or opposition they may have encountered in the course of time, they have remained consistent, unwavering, and tenacious, of course, in the decision to exit Nigerian state. And several successes has been recorded, just as we are seeing today in the eastern region. There is total compliance to the seat at home, and you can understand what that means. Civil disobedience, the legitimization of the Nigerian state. for the Biafran Republic government in Israel to have succeeded in legitimizing the Nigerian presence or control over the region is a very serious indication that the approval of the Biafran state or republic has been approved. These are one of the signs. Of course, you will see and it begins to say that the movement for the Biafran actualization is very key and is holding ground. And of course, people are buying into this idea and are now beginning to resonate with the programs and activities lined up for the restoration of the Biafran state, which has been endeared, is a passion informed by principles, ideologies governed by the rule of law, and they believe that this is how humanity or society should be built on, and of course, humans should be regarded and treated as humans, not animals. I have never seen anywhere in any responsible society where the children, where their citizens are being trapped for barely 6 hours. 6 hours stranded, I mean, in highways surrounded by bushes. You know what that implies. There could be a possible risk to their life, and eventually could be robbed in these very isolated areas. What does it take for the government of Nigeria to fix this deplorable state of the roads? Especially the roads linking, of course, uh, the southeastern part or the west eastern region is in the state of comatose. It's a death trap. It's quite unfortunate. Then what makes you Nigerian? What are there to be endeared about the country called Nigeria, where there is little concentration in the Abuja, where people are they are robbing the entire masses of their source of livelihoods, our commonwealth, and still having nothing to do with the projects that has direct impact on the Nigerian masses. If they can't fix road, is it food they would provide for the masses? It's quite unfortunate that this is happening. But then, as we are reviewing today, for the Biafrans, wherever they may reside, we want to start, of course, by the, making some reference, biblical references. But the Bible happens to be the compass or the manual, the compendium or encyclopedia of freedom, where histories of those who fought for freedom was recorded and could be made reference to. The others compendium of people's ideology, beliefs, and of course, ordeal in the quest and the cause of pursuance of the freedom. So it is not out of place when we make reference to the Bible. The Bible happens to be the oldest and most popularly read book, as the Christians describe it as the holy book. Of course, even the Muslims or the Islamic uh, religion also make reference to the Bible, as well as other uh, uh, professions. Now, let's see what is written in the book of Hosea, chapter 12, verse 13. This is to lay the foundation for discussion today. Kindly hit the live buttons. Thank you. I welcome you to this exciting moment here with Chigozie Debo in Callwave TV. Yes, Hosea 12, verse 13 says, okay, let me read from New International Version. It said, the Lord used the prophet to bring Israel up from Egypt. By a prophet, he cares for him. Another one said, okay, Berean Standard Bible, making reference to that, says, but by a prophet the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt. And by a prophet he was preserved. You know, when we are very young and very tender, you know, we are asking whether this Egypt or Israel is on the surface of the earth. You see, we do hear that Israel and Egypt. Begin to imagine that some cities we do hear then was not familiar with us because we've not heard, we're not yet exposed. We do hear the Bible stories and all that. We begin to hear that these are just very close here, Middle East and all that. Egypt is just here in Africa, and you know what that means. These are realities today. So when we make reference to the scriptures, which is the oldest historic book, which could be relevant in a conventional world today. So it's a book of people who were once suppressed, I mean, they risked extinction by the oppression of the oppressors. They once, of course, sought for their independence. They once sought for their freedom. And eventually, it's just a matter of time they were able to get that freedom. So we will have to uh, correlate this their experience with the current realities today in our time, especially as it borders on the emancipation of the people of the indigenous people of Biafra as it gears up towards their independence. This is to say, according to the same Bible, there is nothing new under the earth. But what remains new is the mercies of God that any religion or society or generation could embrace. And that mercies of God is defined in that freedom. Yes, as we said, let's read another scripture. The Bible says, but by a prophet, the Lord brought out, okay, by a prophet, the Lord brought Israel out of Egypt. So that was my interest before I digressed. So you can't do anything, as it's been said, that the spiritual controls the physical. In any battle of life, there is physical dimension of such battles. There is spiritual dimension. There is also psychological dimension to such battles of life. You see, sometimes people do lose battles of life when eventually they are psychologically or emotionally overwhelmed or demoralized. So every battle has its phases and different approach to that. So making reference to this scripture is to lay a very strong foundation to our discussions, and you will appreciate, of course, this very moment here with Chigozie Debo. Just as we say, great news for all Biafrans that the Republic of the Biafran state has been approved. Approved by who? First, by Biafrans, by the collective will, and by the collective position to seek for the independent state or the declaration, restoration of the independent state of Biafra. So, as the Holy Scripture also said, that can two work together without an agreement? So, once there is an agreement with the people, has been expressed in the ongoing self-referendum, over 45 million Biafrans have said, yes, we do agree together. And of course, for that very reason, no power can pull us back. So, have they met that criteria that if two shall agree? Yes, it has been met, and that is a nod to the movement for the restoration of the Biafran state. We're here to analyze to bring to your consciousness that already the battle has been won. The battle has been won. The declaration has been made. Why? By who? By those who believe in the cause of Biafra. They have agreed. For the very first time, they have demonstrated such tenacity, such commitment, and of course, focus uh, with the latest happenings in Nigeria. And of course, some have said we are not part of Nigeria, and whatever protests that may be organized by Nigerians, they are not part of that because it's a vote of no confidence. As Nigerians or Nigerian masses are giving vote of no confidence on the existence and administration of the Nigerian state. It is, of course, to their advantage. They are not justified reasons why they said they don't want to be part of Nigeria, where the population of this country have been at the risk of extinction because of hunger that have been conquered by several Western worlds. And we have the Nigerian or this region have the most fertile, arable lands, and yet have populations are dying of hunger. So you don't have to blame them when they say we can't be part of this system that only struggle for what to eat, while other nations of the world are busy exploring the galaxies, exploring the Milky Ways, making inventions that will enhance humanity and make life easier for the people. What you are still struggling is how to eat. Survival is quite unfortunate. So we said in any battle there are psychological, emotional, physical, and spiritual dimensions. You can now understand that from the word go or from the foregoing, you can understand the state where the people of Biafra are and the current realities as it stands now. We've heard of on several occasions where the Chief of Defense Staff of the Nigerian Defense Headquarters have expressed deep pain or remorse by saying, of course, there is information that there will be a mass resignation in the Nigerian military because of uh, the alteration in this mode of oppression or terms of agreements in the military. Some are not happy with the such developments, and this will engineer more Nigerian soldiers to tender their resignation because they no longer consider that safe for service. And of course, you know what that means. More people would already give up in the service to Nigeria. They don't consider that worth doing again. And of course, you know what that means. Several of them have resigned, have tendered resignations, and more will join in no distant time from now. So it's an indication of gradual but consistent, of course, decline in acceptance, acceptability, and of course, people are no longer willing to sacrifice to keep Nigeria. They felt Nigeria has no prospect, better prospect for them, and it is useless fighting to defend something that is indefensible or something that that does not have any promising future for them. Unfortunately, most combatant men has been lost. Some are amputated, different degrees of amputations, and others abandoned to their own fate, and no one to care for them. Their families are left to suffer and wallow in the same abject poverty that caught up with their parents. Their fathers were serving in active service, defense of Nigeria, but they remained defenseless and could not meet up with their uh, responsibilities to their family, to their children, and of course to their wives. Upon death, some of the families have been thrown. They remain fugitives and outcasts of the society and could not access even better education. And the future becomes so bleak and possibly might join, of course, and constitute miscreants to society, thereby deepening or worsening the state of the, the societal decadence. So, what does that mean? So, psychologically, Nigerian state is losing the battle. When you are losing, your opponent is gaining. You know what that means? So, any loss on the part of Nigerian government is a plus to the Biafran Republic government in exile, and of course, enhances the actualization of the Biafran sovereignty, just as we have seen. Now, okay, here it says again, but the Lord by a prophet brought Israel out of Egypt, and he was preserved by a prophet. Now, the Lord by a prophet brought out Israel out of Egypt. What is the symbolism of Egypt? Egypt symbolizes oppression, suppression, subjugation, deprivation, hunger, starvation, and of course, abuse to the fundamental right of the people trapped in the state of despondency, where people are not allowed or freely allowed to express themselves and their life or political affiliations. They are being treated as cowards and animals, preferred more than animals. You saw how even the innocent children were being killed, ordered by the government to systematically annihilate the people, the unborn generations, using their healthcare system to destroy the seeds of God's own choice or chosen generation, chosen nation. You saw how that happens when the instructions was given to their midwives to terminate any son of given by the Hebrew women have caused in a way of suppressing and subjugating them perpetually into servanthood, into oppression by the enemies. You can see how wicked and destructive these oppressors could be, going at odd length, exploring every means possible to exterminate and destroy this generation of God's people. It is not new. The same process is being experienced where you see people are not treated as human beings. Some regions have been neglected or abandoned because of who they are or perhaps what they represent. They have been perceived as enemies within the same so-called nation. Now you begin to ask, who is deceiving who? If we are truly one nation, why should we be denied or not given the same right, of course, to have access to the basic amenities, and of course, that is common to other regions. More sadly, most of those words or resources used in developing other regions came from the same region that was abandoned to their fate, of course, systematically and uh, otherwise came to become backwards at any such opportunity to make them feel that they are not part of them. So the same thing happened. The Bible says, but the Lord by a prophet brought Israel up of Egypt, and he was preserved Israel was also preserved by the prophet. So, as we said, there is a dimensional, spiritual dimensional aspect of this battle, not just the physical, not just the use of ammunitions, weaponry, armored tanks, and others. Of course, Nigerian governments have met deploy such means, and perhaps that have not worked out for them to suppress the people who have made up their minds to go or part their way, to go their separate ways, is a tax, a very rigorous and impossible tax. Once they have made up their minds, seeing the realities and what the future portends, because if today is not safe, yesterday, of course, is no longer in their control, but they have today to make every decisive actions and take every step they have to in order to preserve their future and that of their posterity. So they have today, of course, to address these uncertainties and, of course, iron out what their fate should be and what, of course, the lives ahead in the future. So you can understand that there is a dimension of spiritual angle to these issues. In fact, poverty has its stain in spirituality. You see, some people say poverty is a demon of oppressor. It's a demon that wants to hold the people in the state of despondency, stuck in the wheel of motionless and despair, not meeting basic necessities of life. Most people have died not because it is their time to die, because of the corrupt system by the corrupt people, demonic entities who have sold themselves to the devil. You know, greediness or gluttony is a demonic and demonic habit. When you know you can't finish a pint of rice at a go, but you have a lorry loaded bags of rice kept in your backyard. People are dying of hunger. It's not just you worked for those bags of rice. That would have been different. But you stole from the commonwealth of the people and stockpile what they should have been evenly distributed to the people. If that would have been, if that had been as a result of your effort and hard work, of course, you may decide to hold that for yourself as a bit selfish, of course, because the strength you use was not for you. The strength is of God. You can understand what that means. Whoever is calling us here now, please, we are not interested. Okay, better. Let me. Anyone calling now, please? We are not interested in that call until we are done with this program now. Okay, if you're calling us now I sent a prophet Moses to lead Israel from Egypt and to keep them safe. To keep them safe is what is that. You can understand that from the scripture where I have made reference to. I have to make reference to that because this is the oldest book ever in the history of humanity. And of course, it defines and narrates historical uh, experience of people who were once suppressed, denied their rights, and eventually help came to them through divine arrangement. So he said, I sent a prophet Moses to lead Israel from Egypt and to keep them safe. You know, to keep them safe means they were not safe in the region or geographical space where they found themselves. Their life have been threatened, their existence is in jeopardy, and their prosperity is at the risk of extinction. So he have to send a prophet So I liken Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as a prophet of deliverance, a prophet of emancipation to her own people. In a time like this, when their lives are being threatened, are oppressed by the oppressors, who, of course, appears not to be giving up until they receive the right language that will make them let the people go. So we have been able to express that this happened in the biblical times, and this borders on the existence of the people who were chosen and who made up their mind they are living of God for good. That does not come without resistance by the uh, forces of the oppressors, but because of the tenacity, the courage, and confidence they have in their collective unity and purpose, they share common ideologies, and they believe that with this they can move forward. God being just on their side, He sent a prophet, and this prophet brought about the change of order, the change of events. Ever since the emergence of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, things have not remained the same. There have been a dynamic shift in the system or the approach of the struggle for the restoration declaration of the Biafran state, just as we can witness in a time today. You see, after the rendition of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, of course, another man stepped in. This is divinely orchestrated to ensure that the purpose, the divine agenda for a nation, for a people oppressed and suppressed, will not be destroyed. So people might not understand what exactly is playing out, but when you understand the things of the spirit, you will get to know, of course, that these are not humans. They're not in control of human activities. And that's why any effort made by anyone to suppress them will continue to fall. You continue to fall. You see, whether you gang up your military or state arsenal against the people who are being oppressed. Of course, the scripture says that God is the father of the oppressed. So when the father rises, it means the battle is already won. So this is just what is happening. As I said, Israel, we never knew that Egypt was just very close here, even in Africa, where the people of Israel was. And eventually, they have a common boundary today, very close to each other. But so what defines or makes the difference is the God they know. They know the price of freedom, and they have to pay for it. So prophet, by a prophet, Yahweh brought Israel out of Egypt, and by a prophet, he preserved Israel. You see, this thing is saying he preserved. Preserve means to keep from corruption, from rottenness, from the decadence in the society that have corrupt the future of all asunder within the Nigerian state. You see, people have started protesting today against bad governance. When you listen some video clips during 2012, 2013, the same person in the helm of affairs today, with due respect to the president, office of the president, Ahmed Bola Tinubu, protested against the masses, against the government of the day, saying that they want to steal the future of the masses. They want to impoverish the future, the masses, the population of the Nigerian masses. But this is just exactly what he's doing today. He has done today, not he is doing. He has succeeded in stealing the future of Nigerians. He has succeeded to make life impossible for Nigerians to survive. He has succeeded killing Nigerians as a result of starvation, hunger, having no food to eat. The same thing he accused the administration of Jonathan that was far by far better than what is being experienced in Buhari's time. Unfortunately, the same people who condemn, who shot at Jonathan, are now carrying the same sheet, the clothes, the sheet upon, and they are wearing it and daring anyone who may want to challenge them. Daring anyone who may want to challenge the same parts of this honor they took about a decade plus. Unfortunately, they could not clean up the mess they left behind. Rather, has worsened the situations. You see now that this has given more advantage to the struggle for the restoration of the Biafran state. And this have informed the reason why millions are joining the wagon. Those who felt aware they are preserved in Nigeria. But here is telling us that you can be preserved in the place in a strange land where you are being threatened. Your existence and future is being threatened. And it is quite unfortunate. But whatever be the case, what is certain is that there is a looming hunger, looming anarchy informed by the current realities today. Just as I saw Charlie Boy listed several, of course, complaints or arguments against the Nigerian state. That the leaders of this protest are hunger, deprivation, starvation, misgovernance, inadequate facilities in the healthcare systems, in the school curricular system has been bastardized. People can no longer pay for their students' tuition fees. Some families have withdrawn from uh, their children away from schools. Those within the school uh, bucket age or year, of course, have been withdrawn, abandoned. They have been turned to, of course, hawkers. You see children walking, hawking during the school hours because the families could no longer meet up with the responsibility of catering for them, not because they are indigent families. But some have lost their jobs, some have been displaced and dislodged from their homes. Some lost their jobs, lost their source of livelihood, and you don't have to blame them for it's not their making, that unfortunately the system has forced them into such undesirable states or condition. Now, Showore, Charlie Boy have addressed the government that these informed reasons. The same thing he also condemned, accused Jonathan of. Unfortunately, he has been trapped in that mess, making it more worse for Nigerians to survive. And you said Nigerians should not hit the streets. Well, it becomes on Nigerians to make up their mind whether to withdraw or not. But whatever be the case, I believe it is their right, regardless of some who said they don't want to be part of that. It's okay, provided you have your reasons for not doing that. But whatever be the case, is an indication that Nigerian state is failing. Not just failing, but failing her own population. And it's quite very disturbing indeed. Very disturbing indeed. And when you consider the national dailies, you'll be shocked at what you see on daily basis. It doesn't give anyone any source of hope. It is quite unfortunate this happening in our time. But that, of course, we can't deny anymore for those who cares to know. Things are no longer as it used to be. So you don't have to blame anyone for whatever decision they may have to take to address these abnormalities. Yes, Tinubu did that when he think he has the opportunity. but people never knew he was just seeking uh, for perhaps relevance or seeking for opportunity uh, to achieve his ambition, the lifetime ambition of being called the president of Nigeria, which he has achieved today. History have it, regardless of whatever might be people's reservation regarding the process that brought him to power. But unfortunately, whether by crook or by hook, and the truth is that the reality is that he is in the helm of affairs today, having every opportunity to have right the wrongs. He believed that so was done, but unfortunately, he has done the worst ever Nigeria could imagine. So it is quite interesting. Well, even the Dangote is also trapped in this state of despair. Uh, Dangote group of companies have been, of course, battling with the damaged image of or reputation of the uh, conglomerate, business conglomerate, resulting to some conflicts that ensued in the course of time. Some said, no, your products are substandard. We cannot allow you the opportunity to cage us. And as such, your monopoly is a threat to our businesses and of course, being that Nigerians are hungry, you can't do anything to convince them. Today, if you care to know, kindly hit the like buttons. Thank you for tuning in. We do appreciate you here. Chicos and Debo, on behalf of the management, I appreciate you for being here today. And of course, kindly hit the like buttons. We are in a new location today. For where I am, a liter of fuel is sold 1,000 naira. A liter of fuel is sold 1,000 naira. You know what that means? That people are finding it extremely difficult to survive. And what does that tell about the state of affairs in Nigeria today? It is quite unfortunate. Well, ministers urge students to remain on campus during nationwide protests. Is that a sign of caring for them? I don't expect any child or students, whether undergraduate, to remain in any campuses because that is exposing to themselves to high risk. They should make their way to their various homes, ignore the call by the minister for them to remain in their various campuses. Let them find their ways to their homes. If you are parents and you have your ways, your children in any campus in Nigeria, under 24 hours, withdraw those children. Let them be with you wherever you are. Don't keep them away from your watch. Anything can happen. So you have to prepare for the worst, whatever be the case. Well, the students are also affected by this. I hope they will troop to the streets to protest for the brutality, economic mishaps. Protests will hurt economy, says the economy is already hot. What do you mean that protests will hurt the economy? It is to address the hurt on the economy that inform the need for the protests. The economy is already dead, let alone hurting. It's been shattered in a state of comatose. It's moribund. Economy that's lost more than 16 multinationals in less than 3 years. Is that economy alive? It has been hard. The impact is what we feel. The people, most of the multinationals said the working condition is not favorable. Government policies lack of uh, forest exchange and all that, the zone is costly. So it makes them almost impossible to survive. So you don't have to blame them. You don't have to blame them, whatever be the case. Okay, Venezuela election results not accurate, says US. You see, the same problem of is everywhere, not until the issue of leadership is being addressed. We can't get it right, especially here in Africa. You see, the same story being experienced. It's quite unfortunate, but these are the realities happening in us, within us. Avoids uncoordinated protests, supports Tinubu's reform, says group. Uncoordinated protests. Which one is coordinated and uncoordinated? Whatever you call it, people has the right to their expressions. And when the version becomes too high, they have the right to withdraw, of course. And whatever supports you may have enjoyed in deception. So whatever goes around comes around. You can deceive the people some of the time, but not all the time. When they get to know that your trust is no longer something they can keep with you, then you're gone. You're gone. So you can see now, according to a prophet, a renowned prophet of our time, one of the renowned prophets, he said that the Republic of Biafra has been approved in the spiritual realm and only waiting for the manifestation of this to come to reality. And this no one can deny. So, having established this position now, you can understand why I started citing the scriptures to affirm that this has happened. God preserved a nation, He brought out a nation from the grip of the oppressors by a prophet who understood that some people could take advantage of that to exploit the people. But in the midst of all these counterfeits, you have real prophets. Which words can be trusted? Which words are reflection of the realities that is to take place? So the Republic of Biafra has been approved in the spirit, according to this notable prophet. And I do agree with him because the spiritual controls the physical. If you are to win any battle in the spirit realm, your spirit man or energy will find expression in the physical or in the realm of humans. The intangible, as the scripture says, that the things that are seen, that are not seen, are far greater than the things that are seen. The things that are seen are just temporal, they are just shallow. But the things that are not seen far exceed whatever is seen today. So for the prophet to have said that, of course, will not be mistaken. This is not longer a joke. If you doubt him, well, you're on your own. That is your personal opinion. But I understand that the spiritual controls the physical. The Biafran struggle has been won in the spirit and only waiting for expression. And because of these realities, no opposition can stop it. Just as when it is time for the Israel to exit Egypt, we saw what happened. Even the Pharaoh questioned the integrity of God Almighty to deliver the people of Israel out of his hands. He has to pay dearly for that, using his own son and every first son in Israel. You see, these are realities. So whenever any nation, kingdom, or race want to oppose God's program, God's ordained programs in the face of man, is still in control of the face of man. You know, that person is attracting destruction to himself or whatever he represents. So this prophet have said it all, and I do agree with him because what is playing out and what is about to play. Of course, he said that there will be massive killing on both sides, and there will be bloodbaths as a final push for this integration. And after that, a national conference, the world will have an emergency conference over the affairs of Biafra. And there, the physical manifestation of whatever has been preordained or programmed in the spirit or approved in the spirit we come to manifestation. Well, I do believe in the spiritual dimensions of events and wars. So it will not be out of place if this prophet have made the submissions. What it is for those who cares to take record as events continue to unfold. Thank you once again for being part of today's little broadcast. We are coming your way with more exciting and intriguing programs here in Cobweb TV. Wishing you the best of the rest of the day is Chigozie Ndibo. Bye for now.